I didn't see any of the signs. You know what I'm saying? With you, like when we dated, it was never like a.
What's good people? And welcome to It's Just Not Adding Up. So how did you feel after finding out I was gay?
I had an open case for a second. I was investigating. I conducted interviews. I was like, something's up. I knew there was something going on with you. And I was like, I'm find out. I had reached out to my Albany people.
Wait, at what point did you know?
It was over. So what made me think of it is somebody gay from family had commented on something that I've commented on your page from like 72 weeks prior.
Okay.
And I was like, And that's when the case opened.
Okay, that's when the case opened.
And I started collecting data, and I was going through your comments. I'm like,
He might be.
Yeah. And then the last time I saw you was at Morehouse. I was like, yep.
He gay.
He gay.
Did you want to ask me?
No. Because, I mean, I felt like you didn't really owe me an explanation or anything, you know. I was like, that's me. It's not about me. But, you know, do you. But I was like, yep. That was when I knew. I was like...
So after knowing what was the, like, were there any emotions attached? What was the feelings?
So yeah, I had to like drag myself and had to like figure out what was going on with me, because I was like, dang, oh my God, did I dodge a bullet? Oh my God, well, thank God we didn't go too serious. Or thank God, you know, we didn't have sex or anything. But it was just like, well, why do you feel like that, Melanie? So Melanie on the couch, like, so why do you? So I had to unpack that. So because, you know, homophobia is just so, we're so conditioned to it, and it's so like the heteronormative and all the words, like that's something we're just so used to, and something we've been shoved down our throats in church and TV and all that stuff for our whole lives. So it's just like, why do you feel this way? Because I always want to be Miss Gay Rights, want to be the ally of all allies, and then when it became on my front porch, I was shook. Obio, the fine one? Shit. Dang, you know, it was like my starting five was like, these are like full, and then it's like, damn, all right, but why is it damn? You know, so that's something I had to like navigate in myself and just understand that you don't owe me shit. This is your journey, and just watching you from like that, I'm trying to figure like that transitional point was like, what's going on with Obio to where you are now. I'm so proud of what you built and how you seem to glow now and be able to be yourself. And you know how you inspire others. You have this whole ass platform, and you finally, because you've been doing this YouTube shit for a long time, but now that you've got your groove, that you've come out and you can be yourself, now it's blossoming into all this thing, because that's what it was waiting on. Like your platform was waiting on you to be you, and I feel like that's amazing. But that's how I'm just like, you know what? It's not my business. I just want to be the best ally I can be supportive. Like we never really talked about it because it was always like that. The first time we even addressed it was the funniest thing, because I was talking about best man or something like that.
You were.
And then you said Tay Diggs was fine, and I was like, Morris is the show, period.
That's a black king right there.
About that, but it was just like, you know what? Great, love this. But yeah, that's just what it was. Like,
do you think the way you feel is foreign? Like, do you feel like more black women align with the way you received it?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
Not at all. I mean, I could even probably look crazy right now for being here so supportive. You know, that's always, oh, these niggas gay. It's Atlanta. Everybody gay. Like, that's the thing. But niggas be gay. You know, I feel like it's way worse things to make me than me gay. You know, this isn't something that happened while we were together or anything. I don't feel like it was any kind of betrayal. We haven't been involved since like undergrad. So it's not like a big thing, but it was always like, what's with Obio? Even like when, so even a couple years ago, so when I was in a relationship and then you was like talking to me, trying to be, you know, be a and I was like, sir, I'm in a relationship, I'm a woman of God. No, and then I was single, I was like, so was Am.
Yeah.
And then he's acting funny. I was like, well, what's your problem?
Yeah.
Because you was over here bothering me. So and I'm not saying that you didn't want me because you was gay. Maybe you just didn't want me. You know what I'm saying? But it was always like, how come you don't want me, man? Like what? That's just something I had to figure out. But then when you came into who you are now, it's just like, okay. But also, you may not have just not wanted me or whatever, which is also fair because I'm annoying. But even to, but it may have been part of your walk or whatever. But it doesn't really matter. That's who you are.
I think I love what you're saying, don't get me wrong, right?
Absolutely.
I think there's a piece of the pie that like a lot of men are afraid to come out because of what women who they've dealt with, and this is not the whole totality of why people are afraid to come out. It's a myriad of things, right? But I think there's a little piece of people that have this extra when it comes time for the women they've involved themselves with to find out, because I think there's this like unknown of what the response will be. You know what I mean? I think also like a lot of guys just are on so many different sides of the spectrum as it relates to homosexuality, queerness, all the things. And so I think like some men are bisexual, right? And like where is their space? Is that a disclosure thing? Or some men are figuring it out. Some men are baseline confused. Some men are just placating to fulfill a quota. You know what I mean? So it becomes this conversation of like, what do we have to do on the front end? And I guess my question to you was like, what do you think women, the role of women as it relates to allyship, what does that look like for you? Like, what do you think like you like to see differently? What do you like that you see already?
I think we need to create space.
Speaking of creating space, the second pre-order is live. You have until Friday to go and grab your shirt. I have loved seeing you guys tag me in your posts. Continue to do it. Grab one for you, your mom, your dad, your friends, whoever, and keep creating space. All right, back to the video.
No, but we do need to create a safe space for these men who are struggling to be able to express themselves and be themselves. Some people are bisexual. You like both, and that's great. Both are awesome. You know what I'm saying? But we need to create space for them to be able to express that. Like, that's something, even when it comes down to like men, or like, oh, you know, black men don't have safe spaces. You guys have to create that for each other. Niggas can't even eat hot dogs and popsicles around each other, bananas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Niggas eat bananas like peanuts because they can't even just put something.
Not peanuts, love.
They can't even put a phallic food towards their mouth. But you have to create that space for men. Like, even when you came out, I was like, good for him. I'm gonna unpack my shit, but good for him.
I appreciate that.
I love that for him. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
But we have to be that. It's not, oh, this is gay. Down low. Oh, so you doing the bending.
Oh, so you doing the bending.
It's just so much ignorance to it. And I hate it. Honestly, I do hate ignorance. I listen. Like, I've always, so you asked me earlier, why do I care? I've always had an affinity towards gay men. Like, even since I was a little girl, my favorite movie was Tu Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. Movie full of drag queens. Loved it. You know, just media, you know, and, you know, you think of the hairstylists and the choreographers and the singers and the dancers, like, such a talented community, such a misunderstood community, and we just need to do better. Like, I'm always preaching on my soapbox to my friends, my family, whoever, like, y'all homophobic. No, you're not. I just said blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, that's homophobic.
Yeah.
Like, and then I also know that it's shit I don't understand, and I try to learn. That's the point, is being willing to learn and being open to learn and listening to people and listening to the community or whatever. I can acknowledge some shit I just, again, because that's why we even here, because I had to like, okay, wait, it's much more for me to learn and understand.
Yeah.
And unpack and whatever, because this is what, it's just, society is just, especially being black, Southern, Christian, you know, you're going to hell.
It's a lot of things. Yeah.
It's so many different moving pieces to it, but you just have to be open to learn and understand.
So did you, like, finding out that I was gay a few years ago or 2 years ago? Wait, when did you find out?
It was confirmed. I had my case open since
Okay, so
2018.
Okay.
It was confirmed last year because you started doing panels. I was like, oh, so this is a thing. Okay, I remember I did a video and it's like, you talk about bisexuality. It's like, I don't identify as bisexual. Okay, so you get it straight.
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
We gonna wait it out. So it's like, it's not bi. Okay. Pan? Like, what are we doing?
Come on, Pan. Praise the Lord. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm just trying to figure it out, and that's why when it happened, I was like, I was waiting. So you never came out to me, you didn't have to or anything. So I was just waiting. I was like waiting for the signal, and just like, okay.
But did that change how you experienced men that you wanted to date going forward? Where did you find yourself hyper conscious of like people's movements? Were you like femininity watching? Were you like, you know what I mean? Like, did you find yourself doing any of that?
No, because I don't even think you were feminine. Like, so that's not, you know, I didn't see any of the signs. You know what I'm saying? With you, like when we dated, it was never like a moment. Like it never gave that. So it wasn't like there's no like is he gay checklist to go through, and especially like with you, I never experienced that. That was nothing. You know, just over time I was like, what's going on? Oh, it's been different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could tell something was different with you, but I didn't know what. So, yeah.
Do you think your friends have those? Because see, like, often on like Twitter, or I see like different conversations where it's like, he did this, or he had too many facial cleansers, or he like, oh, like Devon. Like, see,
I don't really feed into that, because please wash your face. I'm begging. Some men use the same soap for their face and same washcloth and all the food. Just like, no, like all that stuff. Like, oh, that's gay. Like, sure. Me and my boyfriend do masks. We do, you know, self-care. We talk about things. We have these conversations. You know, we were just talking last night because he's rewatching Insecure. We were talking about the whole Jared situation with Molly.
Party in New York. I'm back to his place, and you know.
Sweetie, you can't keep dating him.
he's gay.
Like, cause I'm like, when I first watched it, 22-year-old Melanie was like, yeah, he gay, sis. I don't know. But I was like, as an adultier adult, I'm like, all he did was just a little head. So like, yeah, all the little trivial stuff, I'm like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing makes you gay other than being gay, or be bisexual than being bisexual, being attracted to men. If you, I don't know, what's something they say is gay for men? To get a pedicure. Oh, he gay.
Doesn't mean you want men.
Like, don't nobody want scratched up legs because you have calluses on the bottom of your foot. Like, it's just so much stuff that's so trivial, and that's the subtle homophobia that contributes to all the violence that the community experiences. And that's why I go so hard, because you have these children killing themselves over stupid stuff. Or, you know, you see this media, I mean, people fighting for the right for Dave Chappelle to say what he wants to do. It's like, it's harmful. All this stuff is harmful. It may seem small, and may seem, oh, I'm gonna beat my son for picking up a Barbie doll. No, you know what I'm saying? Like, stuff as small as that. So that's why I go so hard, because especially, like, I'm fighting for my future children that aren't been, you know, conceived yet. Because if my son want to pick up a Barbie doll, he might be throwing it across the room. But if he pick it up and you punch him in the face, what are we doing? So it's just so many moving pieces to that. I just want to, you know, raise children who don't have to experience foolishness and ignorance from people. So yeah.
And I think what you touched on, which is so important, is like behavior is something separate from sexual orientation.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, it doesn't mean the same thing. But I think sometimes people look at behavior and that means you're indicative of sexuality, and it's two totally different things.
I ain't gonna tell his business too bad, but he showed out.
I don't know what she's referring to, ladies and gentlemen. I have no clue. I'm listening though. What were we saying?
We're not gonna get too deep into it.
We're not doing the thing. I'm chilling. You guys know me. Keep your creative space.
I know him. He was drunk down to Tallahassee.
Drunk. See, not
drunk down in Tallahassee, and this big mammoth of a man was fee-fi-fo-fumming all in my bedroom, knocking stuff over, and I had to keep on laughing so my friends didn't think he was beating me up in there, and it was awful.
How was she seen beat up? I left with a bloody nose, but we won't get to the whole thing.
No,
anyways, we're gonna keep pushing, guys. No worries.
I have to tell no. His nose was bloody, but that had nothing to do with me personally, because I did not harm him.
That had nothing to do with you personally? It's okay.
I mean, this is our first conversation we're actually having about it, so it's not like... And even when it did happen, it was years after we'd ever been involved, so it wasn't like you owed me anything at the time, and you never personally, you know, I just followed. I was like, okay, like, move on. But yeah.
Interesting. You have any questions for me?
Did you feel like you were performing? Like, did you know back then, or what? Was it a gradual realization, or like a light bulb went off? How was that?
I think it's interesting because even if you know, there's like a period of not wanting to know, right? Like when you feel, I think for a lot of people can relate to like when you're young, feeling different and not having language. People who were born like 90s, possibly like 2000, 2001 on back, like I think not having any representation, not really knowing what gay truly is outside of like problematic things your uncles would say, you know what I mean? And so it's like, for me, knowing that I had more than like a friendly attraction to boys, but not really knowing where to put it, but then also being thrusted in environments that were like hyper-masculine. I play sports. People always like...
Yeah, because even because of your appearance, it's like, coochie. You know what I'm saying? Like, coochie. Like, straightness was thrown in your face because of your appearance. Yeah. So, how navigating that? Like, I don't like coochie like that, but
Which some would say was a privilege, right? Like, I think it's a privilege and a disadvantage all in the same boat. Because on one hand, you're able to float in spaces that maybe someone who is a little bit more queer presenting can't float, right? But at the same time, it's like, how do you navigate it when you have to figure out, like, who truly am I? And so I think, like, after college, it was like, okay, you know, college, people go to college, you think, I'm going to reinvent myself, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be who I wanted to be, blah, blah, blah. And so I think, like, after college, I hadn't acted on my attraction yet, but I was like, like, I want to act on it, blah, 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 like, I don't know what to do. But I just was like, okay, I'm just going to keep dating women, keep doing the things of women. And then in college, I'd acted on the attraction, and I was like, okay. And I think at that point, I felt like it was getting real, if that makes any sense, right? Like there's this idea that like, okay, now you've actually done something with a guy. It's not just like this distant fantasy, it's like something you've done. And so I think in that brought on shame, brought on just a lot of different things that I tried to show up again, right? So you try to, then for me at least, like I went through the whole like bi, thinking I was bi for 2 seconds, right? Like am I bi? Like what is this? You know, I think for me it was more like a lot of times for me, especially in college, it was like trying to figure out like, can I like women? Like, can I do this thing? I was gonna wear that thing out until I got there, you know. So I'm always like weirded out by the idea, like, what's a performance? I feel like I always wanted to say yes, but at the same time, I think a lot of people are just kind of in that like you know that you like men, but it's like I don't want to like men. It's like I know I like cake, but I want to be thin, so I'm not gonna like cake. I'm gonna do what I gotta do to like this broccoli, like this whatever. I'm not saying women are broccoli, but I'm just saying like you know what I mean. So for me, it was like that, and then when I graduated, it was that other phase of like I'm in the real world now. I can reinvent myself again and figure out what that looks like. So I think for me, also not being on campus, to talk about Greek and all, all the little pressures of like
the SGA and the Greek life and this and that and fit into this box and being somebody because that's what you gotta be. You gotta be SGA or Greek or one of these.
And at HBCUs is like a bigger thing. It's not like it's yeah. So I'm just asking questions because I never got to sit down and ask these questions. Not that you owe me an explanation. I'm just interested in this conversation now, having fun. So even then, I'm just like, because I remember, you posted about the Kinsey test. I know about the Kinsey test, ironically from the movie Easy. I'm like, what is the Kinsey test? And I looked it up. Mm-hmm. So you think you're a Kinsey 6? I do. Because if you ask me, I'm a 6.
You do. So you always, that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you go from, I never liked Coochie anyway. Kinsey 6. So how to...
Because I think it kind of goes back to internalized homophobia. I think a lot of us just feel like gay is what I cannot be. I just cannot be this. I have to restructure my brain. A lot of people come up with personas to support their straightness or their hoped for straightness. You know what I mean? So for me, it was like, I just couldn't be gay. I know for me, even when I knew I liked guys, I got to the point that I knew I was going to marry a woman. I just knew I was.
Just to go through the motion.
I just knew I had to. That was just kind of how life worked, right? Like, growing up in the South, being black, people basking in some of the perks of perceived straightness. I just was like, I'm just gonna have to marry a female and really
Back the bullet.
We're gonna see what it is. And so for me, like, it's kind of confusing sometimes because I think also that two things can exist at one time, right? You can enjoy a woman but not still be like want to be in intimate spaces with her sexually. But for me, because it was like I'm not like blind. I recognize a beautiful woman, right? Like, and I recognize like I have affinity for beautiful things, right? So it's like, on the one hand, you're able to kind of like talk yourself into certain things, and then also them being enjoyable. You know what I mean? Like, well,
so you didn't have fun for your was happening? Thought you had liked it.
I'm about to cut this off. That's a real thing. Like, a lot of people do that. I think a lot of gay guys. I put on Twitter a couple months ago, like, who said they were bi first? And most people said they were bi first, right? Like, whether
trying to transition into it.
Whether it was a lesson to blow to family and friends, whether it was to give yourself time to figure this thing out, like, you just kind of wanted to make sure that you were giving yourself grace.
It's like, I like boys, but I still like girls.
I still like girls, right?
For me to have the wife and kids that y'all,
And a lot of people honestly base their sexual orientation about who they think has the proximity to be attracted to them. Mm-hmm. So it's not so much who I'm attracted to. A lot of guys who may have a little bit more femininity still will like women, but no, women probably won't give me a shot, right? So it's like, okay, I know, like, I hear from a lot of queer guys, right? Like, I like women, but the average woman just was always calling me gay, never really giving me a shot. Like, what do you do with a guy who may even paint his nails, may carry a bag, but still sexually wants to interact with women? Like, what does that person do? And we kind of just thrust him into this gay box, which, I mean, I guess he can probably have fun in because he may be bi, but it's like, what does it do with the other side of that attraction? And so I think a lot of guys are just wrestling with self for so long to then kind of figure out, what does this look like? Do I like women? Do I like men? And also when it comes to bisexuality, a lot of people look at it as like a do and not a be, right? Like for me, if I was bi, if I end up with a guy, I'm still a person who's bi, right? My orientation, I'm still oriented to enjoy both genders. Whether I end up with a female, a male, I'm still bi. And I think likewise to like a lot of bi men, if a bi guy wants to date a woman and he says, I was in a relationship with a guy for a few years, I enjoyed myself immensely, but we broke up for whatever reasons and I want to be with you. And it's like,
they're not going for that.
It's not, and, so
and a lot of women just their insecurities is like, now you compete with a man, or the waiter's a guy and he was nice and he might be gay. Now you want the waiter. Like, it's just a whole thing, or thinking like sexually competing with the man. I ain't doing all that. But y'all, it's overachievers. I'm not doing that. Like, y'all got it.
I wouldn't advise you guys to get in the ring with us. I'm just playing. But no, it's tough. And so I think a lot of people just are, again, like, but I think honestly, the journey to self isn't exclusive to queerness. Yeah, a lot of us go through that. Who do we want to be? How do we want to come off? Do we want to be mannerable? Do we want to be problematic? Do we want to be abrasive? Do we want to be quiet? Just like to close us out, what would you tell another woman who may find herself either having had dated a guy who ends up being gay, or a guy who's bi who wants to give her a chance? Like, what would you say?
It's not about you. I think that's the most important takeaway. Like, because even when you came out, I was like, well, did I do something? It was like, Melanie is the last straw, I'm going to men. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not about you. You know what I'm saying? This is someone's personal journey. This is your personal life. I'm just glad that you have the space to do this. You have the supportive family to be able to be yourself, who, you know, love and support you through everything, you know. And you have the platform. And being fine is a privilege with that as well. But, you know, you can and you are. Okay, one more funny thing I want to know. Like, this is like my third time being on your channel. And every time we finish filming, I just be like, so I'm about to head out. Alright, just, you know. I'm like, why won't he drop my bones? What is going on?
Funny.
But that's so funny. But just honestly, you just have to realize it's not about you. You know, and again, create space. Like, that's what your brand is. But like, create that space for people to be themselves. If he's being honest with you, respect that. And if he, I like guys, I really like you. Like, I like women as well, blah, blah, blah. Like, and I'm not saying that's going to be something easy for me to swallow, even if it came to me. But you just have to think about it and just understand that it's not about you specifically. Or, you know, if a man that you used to date came out, that ain't got nothing to do with you. That's their walk. And you may have been a part of that journey, which is fine. But love them through it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert. I don't know. But I'm just saying, you have to understand. Like, even with you, I had to unpack that myself. You just really got to do some unpacking to understand that we have a lot of learning and unlearning to do. Yeah.
A lot of learning and unlearning to do. I'll take that.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, listen. Keep creating space, and I will see you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Peace.